What's going on, everybody? It's Ricky from Video Homicide, and I have another installment of VHS collection for you. Today we're going to be talking about the Undead. Which is a Roger Corman production, and I'll just read you the back of it real quick. A young woman is being harassed because of her call girl occupation. She decides to visit a psychiatrist and via hypnotism discovers that she is the reincarnation of a woman wrongly executed as a witch a few centuries earlier. Drifting off into a trance, she journeys back into the past to try to save herself from death, even though it may mean altering all future events. The psychiatrist does all within his power to help. Whilst battling a coven of witches and even Satan himself, the psychiatrist has to come to terms with the fact that the past tense woman will have to die in order to keep history intact. To tamper with the past even slightly may drastically affect society as we know it. Not only that, but by allowing these past tense girl to live, the present tense girl may never be born. Unfortunately, his wholesome attempts go astray when he himself becomes trapped in the past. The back of this literally just described the entire film and spoiled the ending. All right. Like it says, this movie is all about this woman who's a hooker, and I don't think that she goes to the psychiatrist. I think the psychiatrist contacts her. But anyways, she goes to this little shitty lab, and these two guys, they put her in a trance, and then she wakes up in old time. And the best part about this film is all of the backstory that I in my research, because I research a bit of these movies before I kind of do the videos. And I guess it was filmed in a supermarket. So they dressed this supermarket and then filled it with fog, and I guess people were getting sick from the fog and all that stuff. And in true Roger Corman, aesthetic, it's built on a fucking budget of like next to nothing, but they did a great job, and there's some really cool character actors in this film. Matter of fact, there's this I think I did a good job, or I think that the back of the film did a good enough job describing the plot, so I'm not even really going to go there. But some of the background characters, like Dick Miller is in this film for like 10 seconds, who people know from a lot of different movies. Maybe for me, most famously being the Terminator. He's the guy that sells the guns. There's a dude who's a gravedigger in this movie, and he's just so full of like these like sing-songy songs about like the dead and about being a gravedigger. And he calls the graveyard the flesh farm at one point. And at one point they call the witch a hell hag. And like if anything, the movie is good for watching just to hear all this slang and terminology. And for being shot in a goddamn grocery store, they did a hell of a job with the set design, because I couldn't tell. I mean, I could tell they were in like some sort of little sound stage, but for it to be a grocery store, that's badass. Like, what did they do with all this stuff on the shelves is what I was wondering that, like, after I watched it. I'm like thinking to myself, did I see a shelf of Campbell's soup? You know what I mean? Yeah, I wouldn't say this is one of the best films that I've seen from Roger Corman. I think maybe my favorite was probably Little Shop of Horrors still. And like I said, this gravedigger guy that does all these songs and stuff, he's actually in Little Shop of Horrors. And there's even the one witch, she has like a little servant they call the Imp. He's like a little like short dude. And that was actually an actor that was in the original, in the only Bride of Frankenstein film, as a baby that appears in the film. I have yet to put two and two together, like which baby that is, but I thought that was really cool. And one of my favorite things about watching movies from this era, this being, I believe it was 57, you're gonna get a lot of this mixture of, what at the time would have been like classic actors, like, your Vincent Price, Bela Lugosi, especially like Bela Lugosi, Boris Karloff, all those kind of dudes. They were in a lot of movies in the 30s that, and as time went on into the 50s, they're legends, but they get kind of cast, like typecast, and next thing you know, they're only in these sort of shitty horror films. No Vincent Price, no Boris Karloff or Bela in this film. But I would recommend checking it out if you want to get into like your 50s cinema that isn't like high budget, like your Hammer, or your like as I've said in the past, I'm not a big fan of your 1950s B movies in terms of like giant bugs, giant women, all that kind of stuff. But one thing I will mention about this particular VHS tape, it's put out by Hendring. The front end of this film is loaded with trailers of movies that I'd really even never seen before, and not movies that I'd probably ever watch, but it was just cool to see that, because the thing is, with some of these movies, you don't get any trailers. Like, it just jumps right to the feature, because they are bootlegs. Like, even if they're put out by Luminous Film Video Works or even Something Weird Video, they're not like, I mean, they might license the film, but you can just feel like the low budget, like some dude sitting in his basement or sitting in the back room dubbing these tapes, and I like that vibe, to be honest with you. But it was surprising and cool to see the trailers for this movie. I really like the cover as well. It's got like this skeleton dude with the chick undressing and like almost like a coffin thing. And one thing that they mentioned on the back of this movie about there being the devil himself, Satan himself is in this film, like this ridiculous laughing shell of Satan, and it was cool, man. I mean, like I said, it's not for everybody, but it was for me at the time. It served its purpose. Will I watch it again? Definitely not. But I think some of you guys might enjoy it. So with that being said, that'll be the end of this episode of VHS Collection with Ricky signing off. As fucking always, definitely check out the Teespring account. Definitely check out the wallet. Check out the Facebook page. Links to all that shit will be in the description. And with that being said, adios.